Hey, it's Greg. Today we're going to talk about the 2019 Dreams Come True Wonderland 30th anniversary tour in Japan. It was, as I've been saying for the last couple of episodes, it's been a real pleasure. One of the biggest, well, the biggest tour I've ever been on, as far as depth of staging, production, sizes of audiences. It was just overwhelming. A mind blower. This was the first time for my wife Andrea to accompany me, and since I've been to Japan since 1974, a lot has changed since then, and so it was great to see Japan through her eyes, you know, seeing it for the first time. And not that I ever have been jaded. I've always loved visiting Japan. When the call comes to do it in any form, I'm there. I'm there. So anyway, we were there for a month, and what was cool is we stayed at the same hotel pretty much the whole time, except when we had to do some dress rehearsals up in a city named Akita, and which is where the dog comes from, if you don't know that. Akita, but it's in Japan they say Akita. So anyway, we were there for about 6 days, and it was a dress rehearsal with all the staging and the elaborate staging. We had to kind of mock it all up and see if it was going to work, and get used to the stage moving and, you know, holding on and not dropping your horn, and oh god, there were some moments there. It was pretty funny. Anyway, we had a great time up there. I'd never been there before, and it's a very unique city. We had a great time. A funny little hotel, but right across the street was a Lawson's. That's very important. And next door to that was a really nice Japanese restaurant that had a sushi bar, and it was in a full-service Japanese restaurant. It was very, very good. So we had that going for us because we didn't know where else to go. You know, we're strangers in a strange city. So anyway, we went back to Tokyo, and after all this, we were rehearsed on the soundstage for 3 weeks. Took it up to Akita, worked there for about 5 or 6 days, and came back and did 2 shows at Saitama Super Arena, and then we flew home. So we came home, and the band, my band, East Bay Soul, was booked in this period of time, maybe 15 days. We were back in the States, so we worked the whole time we were home because, you know, Johnny Beaumont, who played baritone sax on the Dreams Come True tour, and Michael Stever, our lead trumpet player in East Bay Soul. Both of the guys are in East Bay Soul. And then we immediately went right back to Tokyo again, and I can't remember where we flew into, but obviously we flew into Haneda, and we transferred, and we went to some other city. But that next trip was, and this was the time I just came back by myself, and Johnny and Michael, it was just the 3 of us. Andrea stayed home from then on. But anyway, some of the cities we did visit after doing Tokyo were the Fukuoka, Sapporo, Osaka, Nagoya, and I think that's it. But in both, each city, we did 2 nights, except for Sapporo, because the Sapporo Dome holds 65,000 people, so we just did 1 night there, and it was packed. But we came back after that. It wasn't that many cities. I think it was 8 cities, 12 shows, something like that. I don't know. We were over there for an awful long time for as few shows, but you had to appreciate the fact that the production of this show, it took 4 days to move it to the next city, and about 4 days to set it up, and it was like so crazy. It was so intricate, and you know, it was, and when you get to that level of production, it becomes a little dangerous too. There were elements where you had to be very careful walking backstage, and I remember at the end of each run in each city, whether we did 2 nights or just 1 night in Sapporo, you had to get out of there after the bow and have your horns in the cases at the side of the stage, behind the stage, because there was no time to come back and get anything. Once once that show's over, the ground crew started, all the riggers, everything, it was full-on assault to tear that stage down as fast as possible, pack it in the trucks and get it out on the road again. And these guys are in hard hats, and they mean business, and don't get in their way. So, and it's pitch dark behind stage, and these guys all have miners' lights on their helmets, so it was nuts. Well, it's kind of funny with the stage moving. Like as I said, we rehearsed it in Akita, and that was where they were getting all the
How was it?
was on tracks. The stage was left and right was stationary, and the rhythm section was stationary. The only thing that moved was the front of the stage, and which was multi-level, and the horn players over here.
So the horn player moves together.
Yes, yeah. There was 8 of us, so when that thing started moving, it moved, and we stood pretty much. They gave us little stools to sit down if we needed to, but rarely. When we were playing all the time, so we knew as the shows went on, we knew when that thing was going to start moving. And they had spotters behind us, down behind us on the floor. We were up on a riser, and I had a guy who did my in-ears every night, and he was there to kind of catch me because and we had a railing,
right?
But still, it wasn't much of a railing.
Wait, so was he under?
Well, he was. They had an aisle, a little aisle for Miwa and Masa and the dancers to come out to the main stage.
Right.
It was, escape hatches and stuff like that. And behind all this staging was a tight room where there was a lift that would, what do they call it in theater, drop door.
Yeah.
And they'd bring Miwa and Masa up to the higher level of the stage,
and
it'd be like
hydro thing or like what
yeah, it was
the mechanical.
Yeah, it's mechanical.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there was one time where Miwa, just as she finished singing her song, and the trap door is open, and she just steps back and disappears, and then it's a big mat, obviously padded, and there's people. I know there are people to catch her again. But it would be about a 10-foot drop. Sometimes Miwa and Masa would stand on the door, and it would go down slowly. And when they came up to start the show, it was slowly,
But they need to get her disappear
yeah, it was really dramatic. And there was one song that Born Ready. I was Born Ready, and it had a really rambunctious dance routine to it. I mean, the dancers and all the male and all the girl dancers were out there, and it was like that stage was moving, it was bouncing, and trying to play, and it was like the horn players were, and it was like I missed parts a lot because I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't. It was to the point where you maybe chip a tooth if you didn't hit it right, So anyway, we were in baseball stadiums, indoor baseball stadiums. And the stage was anchored at the center field line, basically. And of course it was configured, and all the seats were on the floor, and all the arena was full. And there were tracks going out from the stage all the way to where home plate would be. And you got to realize that there's people on the floor, so this big machine is like lumbering along, and people are sitting in between the tracks and on the other side. So people are going, the stage is going right over. But there's video monitors so they can watch what they're missing. So and we'd go halfway out and come back, and then go all the way to home plate and stay there for a while and play to the back row, which was now the front row. It was a really cool idea because the arenas are so big that you need binoculars to see, and they had huge screens on either side of the stage. I mean, like 60 feet long and 40 feet high, and so I mean, you wouldn't miss anything. But if you're at the back of the room, it looked pretty small, So, and there was a point where Miwa would go up. She'd put her foot in a stirrup and hold onto a rope, and go up to a platform that was maybe 60 feet high, and then sing a song from there. They rode the bike around with all this, and then she flies with the thing, with the harness and all that kind of stuff. It was, I mean, everything was in that show except the kitchen sink. I mean, they thought of everything. I know she likes to fly. She's done that for many years, but she embraces it. There's no fear whatsoever.
What did you say about the kitchen sink?
Oh, a kitchen sink, that's an Americanism for, they put everything but the kitchen sink in there. Yeah. It seems like there were at least 50 dancers on this show. And there were principals, and there was a big troupe, and massive costume changes. And we would be in our green room, which was way off stage. A long walk, really. There was one place, I think it was the Sapporo Dome, where we were so far from the stage that we had to go on a perimeter road, not outside, but a walkway around the arena, and we had to take vans because it was so far we couldn't walk. It would be too far to walk. Yeah, like a minivan.
Oh, like a golf cart kind of?
No, there were golf carts, but there were minivans, like what we have minivans, you know, and we'd get
the actual car.
Yeah, actual car. It was that big that the roadway. It was I guess it probably was considered a passenger, or not passenger, a pedestrian, but it was so big, the arena was so big, it couldn't accommodate such a large road. At the end of 3.5 hours, my feet were starting to really hurt. It's a long time to be on your feet. We can do a show for 90 minutes, okay? We can handle that. But 3.5 hours is a long time to be on your feet, and you're playing so much that you really can't sit down on the stool that they provided us, and it wasn't a very good, relaxing sit anyway. And so,
and people watching from
yeah, and by the end of the show, I was like hobbling back to the dressing room, and so I tried another pair of shoes, and that was a little bit better. And the next time we went back, and I ended up using some clogs. And it's kind of funny that they're clogs for restaurant workers. So restaurant workers are on their feet for a shift. Mm-hmm. So they actually worked pretty good. I got them, I don't know where I bought them online, and I had a grip that was good on a greasy floor, and they were a good price, and they actually worked out pretty good. So yeah, and so.
I'm glad they didn't reduce what you were.
Oh no, and we were behind like big band stands, that had the logo of Dreams Come True on. One of the dancers, Lido Yoshizaka. As a matter of fact, it's kind of funny. When this whole thing was starting, and I had gotten the call for this tour, we were at our local sushi bar, Sushi Ichibankan in Woodland Hills. We would go there like at least once a week. This is before the COVID, and it was a great restaurant, and we know the owner very well, and we'd always sit in front of him, and he'd make the sushi for us. And we were sitting there one night, and I said something about dreams come true, and this woman turns and looks at me and says, "Dreams come true?" I said, "Yeah. You know about that?" She said, "Dreams come true, really?" I said, "Yeah." My nephew, Lido, just auditioned and got the part to be one of the dancers in the show. I said, "You're kidding." Well, next time you talk to him, when we get there, eventually, tell him to come up to me and say hello, and I want to meet him. So we get there, Tokyo, and I think finally, he didn't come up to me until we were at the arena. He didn't even come up to me at rehearsal. He was a real shy guy, but he came up, introduced me, and told me who his aunt was. And so, a great kid. I mean, he's one of the dancers that is in the white bear suit on the Dasco stuff. When they do the Dasco at like Akazaka Blitz, comes out and kind of warms up the audience with this dancing bear thing, and it is really. And he's like huge, right? And he's a skinny little guy. I mean, he would literally lose 10 pounds inside that bear suit doing dance. He danced for 20 minutes, and it really, like, all the hip disco stuff. But it looks so funny because he was in a big bear suit, and he was the good bear, and they have the black bear, which is the bad bear. And these Dosco shows are just incredible. I mean, they're for the fans, which of course we all know are rabid fans. You haven't seen a fan until you've seen a DCT fan. But they do these shows, and there was one near the hotel in Tokyo, the Akasaka Blitz. And I played there with Tower a couple of times. It's a theater with a balcony. We sat up in the balcony because the floor was like open season. I mean, the rush for the front row when they opened the doors was like vicious. I mean, I saw one woman just push a guy out of the way because this is my spot. It was unbelievable. Now there's a fan, and I did get some still photos of Michael Stever. Michael Stever, he speaks a little Japanese, and as we were there, it got better because you're around it, you absorb it, and you can speak it. Me, I stop it like on a level of 10, I'm 1.5 as far as ability, but I can order in a restaurant and tell you that I can't understand you. Chotomate kudasai wa arimasen. That means I can't understand. So anyway, they asked Michael, and Michael's kind of he plays it pretty straight, and to get him to move is a major accomplishment. He concentrates on playing. Well, this was the kind of show you couldn't just stand there. You had to be on it, and he was good at that. But he went down and danced with the dancers on the stage in, I think it was Osaka, and it was funny. I got a picture of it. I can't remember his last name. He owns a dancing school that is sponsored by Dosco, and Dosco is a master. Yeah, and so the whole meaning of this, at the end, it's a big finale. They bring out kids in the dance school from 4-year-old to 18, 19-year-old, and it's a disco. They got a DJ and the whole thing, and Moss is out there doing goofy dance steps with the dancers, and they just love it. The audience just eats it up. And then they put on a track that it's a loop, and it just keeps going. And all these kids, they come out center stage and bust their moves, and the kids are so, I mean, the little kids, like 4 years old, they're dancers.
Kind of like a soul train.
Yeah, kind of like that. So, and then some of the older kids, they're great dancers. They'll do duets, and routines they've worked up in the dance studio and all that. And this is, I think this is all underwritten by Dreams Come True. Miwa is really quite the dancer. I mean, she choreographs most of the stuff that you see. If you can get the Blu-ray of the concert tour, she's basically one of the main choreographers. There are other choreographers who I think, took her ideas and made them happen. But she puts the dancers through their paces. If she doesn't like this kind of thing, they'll have a little school on stage, at sound check or whatever. And so obviously she's got to be an athlete to do what she does for 3.5 hours. So, it was one of the biggest and greatest experiences of my life, and I dearly hope to do it again. I hope they do a 40th anniversary and they think of me.